Hello, welcome to today's American Flyer Trains. This continues a new video series. This video and others to follow share non-catalog train sets added to my collection, influenced primarily by prototypes discovered in classic trains, classic toy trains, and white papers available through public web resources. Part 2, Union Pacific Freight Train. The vision is to create an exclusive Union Pacific freight train to operate on outer, at-grade mainline rail. And it is to complement the Union Pacific Pony Express diesels with streamlined coaches. Requirements are a minimum of 6 to 7 freight cars plus caboose, each with Union Pacific road name. 2, the Gilbert 336 Northern 484 with large motor. And 3, the steam locomotive is to have the Union Pacific road name and herald. Meeting these requirements are the American Flyer by Gilbert 336 484 Northern from 1953 to 1957 in the inventory. It is a Type 2 with a large motor. Now, I was very fortunate that my vendor partner was able to locate this. I could have gone onto eBay, other web resources, Google search to try to find this, but this is where I believe it pays off to have a good working relationship with a trusted vendor partner who knows the supply chain across the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I simply contacted my vendor partner and said, here's what I trust you to find for me. Gave him those specifications and he turned up a beauty. Now he made a few cosmetic changes to the train. He decided to go ahead and put on a new bell and a boiler cover. And then the only modifications I had to do, in addition to my standard rebuild of course, was to correct the swipe or contact springs on the tender. Now it's in an earlier video, and matter of fact, anytime I mention earlier videos, if you check the description below, I should have the title of the video and hopefully a link. So what I did was, I removed the American Flyer road name, which was right there, and replaced it with Union Pacific. Now this Union Pacific road name I acquired from Portline Hobbies. It is a dry rub, and it was easy to apply. Now what was a little bit challenging was to safely remove the old dry rub or stamp that was there that said American Flyer or American Flyer Lines. And of course it came with the Union Pacific Herald, so that was already in place. Other than that, I did the standard rebuild thoroughly end to end, and it turned out to be both an operational, electrical, and mechanical performance champion. I was surprised to find 6 or 7 cars, S-Gauge, American Flyer, Lionel, or Gilbert, that met all of these requirements. Now this one you'll recognize from a previous video for the Union Pacific coal train, and I use them interchangeably. Sometimes I'll run this with the coal train if it's running at the same time, pulled by the GP7 Union Pacific, and if that's not available, then I'll run it here on the freight train. So it's interchangeable and it goes with both. But I was very much surprised to find it. Now, one of the things I realized was a great resource when I went searching for these trains. I mean, eBay and Google, they have plenty of value. You're aware of those. But this is the Gilbert, American Flyer by Gilbert 24216 Union Pacific 3-bay Tuscan hopper, 1958 to 1960, with the simulated coal load that's actually resin cast to fit the hopper dimensions. It was created by a previous owner or a third party. Now what I found that to be of great value doing this search, other than the electronic means of searching, was simply Greenberg's price listing. I think this one that I have is a 2023. And I just tediously went through every line of that document for Gilbert and Lionel looking for Union Pacific or UP, and I was surprised what I turned up. This one was actually, I think, purchased on eBay. I liked it because, one, of its condition, and two, it had that very unusual simulated coal load. Now, found in the searching of the documentation was this next in consist, which is the American Flyer by Lionel 48801 Union Pacific Reefer from 1988. I thought it was a real beauty with the silver roof and the yellow paint and the red lettering. Now this next car, I never thought that I would have one of these in my layout, but when I found this on an electronic search, either through Google and or eBay, I just fell in love with it. The coloration, the Tuscan color, the details on this train, the precision of the lettering was just absolutely beautiful, and of course it met the hard requirement of Union Pacific, and I love the slogan, "Serves all the West." Now you'll recognize this probably as an S scale by S Helper Service. It's in the showcase line, 126/816 Union Pacific 40-foot double sheath boxcar from approximately 2001. But it had some extra benefit. I like this side, which it says serves all the West. But a value-added bonus to this car is the fact that on the other side, it has Road of the Streamliners. Now you remember that this Road of the Streamliners slogan is also used on the 3-bay hopper with almost the exact same Tuscan color. So at times, I'll run this boxcar, operate this boxcar adjacent to the hopper, and then move the reefer, the Be Specific and ship Union Pacific yellow reefer back in the consist and put the two Road of the Streamliners adjacent to one another. I just think that looks really, really sharp. Next is another American Flyer by Lionel, the number 48549 Union Pacific Gondola with 4 canisters from 2007. I really like the boldness of Union Pacific on the side of the car. It leaves no doubt that this is a Union Pacific train. And then up next in the consist is another American Flyer Lionel, which I thought also had a value add to the train, and that was this 48601 Union Pacific covered hopper from 1987. Now the fact that it's a covered hopper, you can remove the cover and run it as an open hopper, so it gives you a little chance to have some variation. Maybe if you had an extra coal load, you could even put it in there from time to time, or maybe a gravel load. Next is another American Flyer by Lionel. Now its part number is 48373 in the Greenberg listing, but it's Union Pacific stock car, quote, 48155D, close quote, from 2008. I have a real weakness for stock cars. I just love them, the way they look, operate. This one had a bonus of having the silver roof on the stock car, as did the Union Pacific reefer, had the silver top. And of course, what really attracted me is the open slats. So I just love these cars. I love the Tuscan. Who knows, maybe one day I'll just run just the Tuscan cars that are on this consist, and that would be 3. That would be the 2 Road of the Streamliners along with this stock car. So this is Union Pacific 48373. Now we get back to, as you'll recognize it, American Flyer by Gilbert, 24076 Union Pacific stock car. This one is a Type 1 because it has the riveted door hinge guides. It has the red lettering, centered iron frame truck, and knuckle coupler from 1957 to 1960. I was tickled to death to find this one, I think on an eBay search, that was just in what I thought was immaculate condition. And of course, again, I really like and have a weakness for these open slats on these stock cars. Such a handsome car. And finally, bringing up the consist is another American Flyer by Lionel, 48703 Union Pacific, square window illuminated caboose from 1988. This too was a very pleasant surprise to find that there are Union Pacific labeled cabooses, and I just thought this one fit this consist so well. Now let's take a look at this train in operation.